All right, all of you freedom-loving boys and girls, Mark Centerline Systems, welcome to the Mad Scientist Dojo, where all the wonder, all the great things gets done. All right, hey, only our third one of these so far, and it looks like I've kind of overcome the whole issue that I had with Rumble, because now I've got two in a row where I've got the Rumble feed up and running. So I apologize to Mr. Bongino and everybody over at Rumble. I'm probably just a knucklehead, but I got that figured out. And it looks like we are live right now. Rumble, X or Twitter, however you want to say it, and then ScrewTube. So, hey, I'm just going to buy a little time, maybe just kind of tell a little bit of a story. That'll kind of get maybe some other people a chance to come into the live stream. But here we are. Yeah, what is this? Our third live stream now? So we're going to try to keep this within 30 minutes. I know last time I went a little bit long. We'll see how the questions go and what type of interaction we get. I'm looking at here at you, but I've got to also look down here for comments when they come in. So I'll just kind of see how that goes. But here we go. Today, we're going to talk about the SRDP. That's our survival rifle deployment pouch. All right. And so what is this for? Why? Hey, I got somebody. All right. Hey, bug out, Wisconsin. There you go. Hey, is it 50 degrees for you guys today? It's like 50 degrees up here in Duluth, but the survival rifle deployment pouch. So basically, if you've got a takedown platform, and I do, I recently purchased one, and this is no offense to anybody, from any other company or whatever, but the pouch, the bag that it came in, it's a great, going to the range, it's like a range bag, it's good for that, but it's not what I'm going to attach to my ruck or throw over my shoulder and take with me, or sling to the side of my horse, depending on what your adventure is. It's not going to help me carry my platform, whatever that platform is. So I've had a bunch of people over the years who very specifically have asked me to make a pouch for the Ruger 1022. Well, last year, as we kind of started exploring this, we had a lot of feedback, a lot of people who wanted it. And matter of fact, I'm way overdue in doing this video. So whether you watch this live or watch this on demand, I apologize to everybody else. And that's part of today's video. So we came up with a product and we had a naming convention. We made a bunch of them, and then we ran into a snag. And I'm going to tell you what that snag is here in a little bit, because I'm going to ask for your help and your thoughts on this whole process. I'm also going to ask for some volunteers. So we'll get into that into the meat of the as we get into the meat of the live stream. But yeah, but really pretty much our survival rifle deployment pouch. Gary B came up with that name. He was our contest winner, and that's what we determined to go with. And he got one. And so kind of stepping into it, but there was, like I said, there were some problems, and I'm going to explain that stuff to you, explain the why behind that, and then let you know where we are right now. So kind of without further ado, let me kind of get into it. Actually, you know what? Now we got 7 people. I was going to kill just a little bit of the time just to let it kind of catch up, because there's about a 2-minute delay on some platforms. But here we are. So the only little kind of delay is, so when you think of a survival rifle, this isn't an over-the-shoulder AR platform. I mean, it could be, right? But this isn't a combat or a kinetic type of operation. You are not very specifically going up on one mountain range to shoot 1,000 meters across to another mountain range to get that mountain goat. This is for like a bush gun, a takedown gun that you may never use, but you want to have one of those with you, whether it's in your vehicle, on your rucksack, or over your shoulder, right? So that's what the whole kind of purpose of this pouch is, why we came up with it. And again, I bought myself my first 10-22, and I was like, I better come up with a pouch. A lot of people have been asking for one. Maybe I'll do it too. Yeah, I guess it's gorgeous down in Wisconsin too. All right, bug out. Time to bug out and go do yourself a barbecue or something, right? But hey, here we go. Kind of jumping into it. All right. So again, SRDP, survival rifle deployment pouch. That name was from Gary B. He was our contest winner. And I'm going to try to do this the best I can. These are larger items, but so here's the pouch. This is the original design. So it's got, a closure up top, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. You've got, just webbing coming down so you can tighten and secure it. Or if your platform sticks out a little bit, it gives you a little bit more a room for expansion. You can see you've got MOLLE up on the front, so you can add an additional pouch, whether it's a pouch we make or a couple pouches somebody else makes, doesn't matter. You've got MOLLE on the rear, right? So that way you can attach it to a number of different, surfaces, a rucksack, the back of your car seat, whatever. But then you'll notice on this one, yeah, right there, you've got attachment points in all 4 corners. And that way, if you want, basically, it doesn't matter right-handed, left-handed, Scout carry, horizontal or vertical, however you want to carry it, Scout, horizontal or vertical, you can actually carry this in a shoulder strap. So that was the original. And it worked very well with just the 1022, a real basic 1022. But so many of you great boys and girls were like, but Mark, wait, I don't want to run just a 1022. I want to run a different type of, platform or optic or, this, that. And that's where we kind of started coming to our first little bit of difficulties. So we made a second version. And I don't know if you can, yeah, there we go. I don't know if you can see this. See how we're starting to get, now it's starting to get pretty damn big, right? And then that had its own set of questions in it, based on some customer feedback. Well, what about this and what about that? And at that point, we came up with the third version, and that was called the DOA. And you're 100% correct. It was dead on arrival because at this point, if that size right there wasn't large enough for you for what your needs were, well, then just go get yourself one of these things. There's a gazillion of them out there in the environment. Half of them are made in China. The zippers always break, they fall apart. But that's actually a big, long gun scabbard. And that's not what we were trying to accomplish here, right? This is a survival rifle, a takedown type of rifle. And we want to have a small, deployment bag, a bag that you can use in a multitude of configurations. That's going to allow you to put your platform, your extra ammo, maybe put some, additional pouches on the outside for cleaning gear or lickies and shoes, whatever. You do you. And hello, Gene from across the pond. All right. So here we go. So this is the final version that we settled on, right? It's a fairly good size. And before I get into the problems, right? And there were some problems here, and I'm going to explain them. This is where I need your help and I need some feedback. So it's a really good size. I really liked it. And matter of fact, here, just let me just kind of jump into this right now. So on that size platform, so I put a Stoner AR. So it doesn't just have to be a Ruger 1022. I'll show you that in a second. So Ruger 1022 for sure, which probably means the Henry AR7 would fit in there as well. On the AR platform side, a CMNG Banshee with a can, Leupold Delta, aftermarket fore end and a can. So very similar to a standard AR, but with a lot of extra aftermarket stuff. It's a short barrel rifle and AR platform. I've put one of those inside of there. I've put a Stoner, like more of a traditional AR platform inside there. So even your ARs can go inside there. Ruger 1022 can go in there. And if the 1022 can fit, so can the AR7. Now I'm going to come back to this in a second because I do have some questions for you guys and I'm looking for some final field testers. But before we do that, right? So that's kind of the whole process and the origin of it, where we are. And we've got a final design. But here is, well, you know what? Yeah. Okay. Maybe I already kind of did it. I'll get back to it. I'm just going to tell you the problem, then I'll ask for volunteers. But so again, going back to this, why do you need a little pouch like this? Well, if you got a range bag and that's all you're going to do, okay, that's fine. Just throw your range bag, the pouch that your platform came with, throw that in your vehicle and you're good to go. If you're looking for something that's more robust, again, think, hey, I'm just hiking, but I sure as hell wouldn't mind having a 1022 or a 22 or a 410 or a 12 gauge, some other type of platform, not just only for my personal security, but maybe for my hunting, or whatever the environment is. Because again, just look what happened last week. I think it's still unclear whether it was, I don't think everyone's really claiming solar flare anymore. I think that kind of got put up for certain reasons. You got some AT&T kind of saying something, but you notice how that's been really hush hush. So whatever the reason was, cyber attack, internal issues, and old infrastructure, or if it was some celestial type of event, hopefully it got some people waking up. Like, what would it be, on day 3, 72 hours without internet or without ATMs and things like that, right? So having something like this that you can throw inside your vehicle, or it could always be on your rucksack, it's taking up a little bit extra weight, but it's better to have and not need than need and not have, right? Because you don't get to pick and choose what Mother Nature, God, the environment, whatever it is, the celestial heavens, they're going to throw shit at you, and it's better to be prepared than not be prepared. So I really like the final design that we came up with. All right. So kind of jumping into, here's where I need a little bit of help. All right. Well, I'm going to need help on 2 areas. Matter of fact, here, I'm just kind of a little bit all over. Let me just do that right now. So here's the area I do need on. Before I talk about the problems with this product right here, and there's one problem, I've got 2 solutions. I want to hear your opinions. But before I get into it, here's what I don't know. And I wish I could have, I wish I had all the money and I could just go buy one of everything. And but, hey, look, I had to do it for research, right? For my business. But here's what I don't know for a fact. Here's some other very popular takedowns. I personally believe they would fit, but I need some volunteers. If you're one of the people who has one of the platforms I'm about to mention, or you know somebody who has one of the platforms, reach out to me, phone call, email, or even leave a note in this video, whether it's here in the live stream or afterwards when it's on demand. And, with a way so I can contact you. Hey, I know somebody who's got that, ping me or whatever. But here's what I'm looking for. I think these will fit, but, again, I can't buy them all. I wish I could. So I kind of want some feedback from you guys. Springfield M6, Savage Arms 42, Henry AR7. Again, I'm almost 100% certain. I mean, if the 1022 fits, of course, the AR7 should fit, but, it's kind of nice to know. Browning BLR lightweight. That's the 81 takedown lever action 308. This thing looks badass. I really wouldn't mind one of those. And then another very popular one, and there's a Kel-Tec in there as well, a 5.56 platform takedown. If somebody's got that, I'd be interested. But also the Axor Arms FP01 folding. That's a shotgun, a 12-gauge shotgun that folds. That one might not fit because of how it folds, but if it folds well enough, and it looks like it might, but if it doesn't fold quite properly, it might not fit. So if you or anyone owns any one of those platforms, reach out to me because I've got two SRDPs right here that I can send out for just a little bit more field testing. And I guess to sweeten the deal, and if somebody helps me better figure out what platform is really working here, I'm going to hook you up. I'm going to hook you up, right? Come on, right? Gene, woo! All right, now let's get into the major problem that I have right now. And this is kind of the crux of it, right? So I really love this product. I like it so far, and I'll show you some of the features, what I really like. But here's the problem. And maybe it's not a problem, but it's not a problem for me. Look, you guys know me. If you know Centerline Systems, we take great pride in our craftsmanship, the material we use, just even the customer phone calls. I was on a phone with a guy today for almost 40 minutes. You know who you are if you're watching. And it was a great conversation. And I was like, shit. I should just drink a beer and just forget the whole day because today was crazy. I don't know what your guys' day was like today, but mine has just been crazy. But you, the people watching this or watching it later or who've purchased products from us or who haven't, hey, look, that logo that's me, right? That is everything about me. That's my name on the line right there. Some people say, well, why don't you have a made in USA thing? Well, because there's a lot of people who do that and it's not really made in America. They're using foreign materials and they're assembling in America. That logo is made in America, mil spec and or Berry compliant. And I've done that a bunch of times and I never want to let you down. So I don't want to even remotely go down the slippery slope that I'm about to say. The major problem with this product to date is I cannot find consistently American made fleece. That's right. You heard me right. Fleece. That's my big, huge hang up, right? Because I was thinking, you're going to put your weapon platform in here. There might be optics. Maybe you've got a really nice bluing on your barrel, whatever the case is. You don't want it to be scratched or damaged. And then that fleece could, provide that and add a little bit of padding. But I can't go down the road. And I've probably called 13 different companies, my distributors, other businesses that use fleece, trying to find, no joke, American source fleece. And there are a couple that have it, but they were very, very upfront and very, honest. They're like, hey, look, I've got this right now, but we never know what we're getting, from month to month. Today it's 200 weight black, and next month it could be 100 weight, purple. I'm just making that up, but you see what I'm getting at. So I really ran into a wall, right? So now somebody's watching this, whether it's right now live or later. Hey, leave me a comment. If you know of an American company that no shit has American source fleece and it's consistent, you can always get it. Because you see what I'm saying? If I can get black 200 right now, but then 3 months later, I can only get pink. And that's a bad example, but I need to have something that works. All right, here, I got somebody chiming in. Yep, there it is. Yeah, so Phil kind of backing me up right there. No, it's a huge problem, and I'm serious. And so what I'm kind of saying is, I don't ever want you guys to feel like I've lied to you, or your trust isn't, you can't trust me. Look, whatever the product is, even if you're a hardcore bushcrafter or a hardcore adventure racer or a military professional, law enforcement, whatever it is, or even if you're just the soccer mom or just the casual weekend, it's just a 5 mile out and back. Don't you want to go into any one of those environments, those situations, and say, hey, look, I don't know what's going to happen today. Hopefully it's going to be great and it's going to be a lot of fun. And, 90% of the time it really is. But if that's the day, like, little Jimmy breaks a leg, or Susie gets bit by a snake, or you fall off a cliff 20 feet and, and you're injured, and you're going to have to stay there for 3 days, even if you just had like this pouch or the mother canteen carrier, whatever it is over your shoulder, you'll go, oh shit. And you'll start freaking out. But then you'll take a breath and you'll be like, you know what, hang on a second. I know I've got the wherewithal. I know how to make a fire. I know how to make a shelter. And I've got this pouch or this device that's going to help me survive these next 72 hours. And it isn't going to be like in the Hilton, right? You heard me say that a million times, but I know I can make a fire. I can make a shelter. I can boil water. If you got this and maybe a mother on the front of it, now you're maybe even doing some foraging and maybe, taking down a squirrel or a grouse. And you're doing that because you've made the decision that you are going to stay put and you're going to wait for, your husband, or because, hey, if I don't show up tonight, people are going to know I'm missing, right? Wouldn't you rather have that security as opposed to, man, I bought this thing a week ago and there's already stitches falling apart. Is this thing going to help me survive this weekend? That would just be another level of anxiety on your already, oh shit type of moment. So I don't ever want to go down that road. All right. I'm going to take a quick pause there. All right. Just look at some comments. Sorry, Gene. Sheep's wool. I've looked at that. I've looked at some combat wool. I've looked at some cowboy fleece. Hold your thoughts because I'm about to get to that. So there's the problem, fleece. The other problem is I never want to let you down. You've come to realize and know who we are, what we stand for, what we put into every product we make. So I can't open the door because that's a slippery slope. Because I did find fleece that's, sourced in Canada. Okay, that's not America. And I can't speak to Canada's trade, and their labor laws and all that kind of stuff. And this is not an ethnocentric thing. This isn't me poo-pooing another country or another, any region of the world. I want to purchase materials that are made in America that I know meet either this standard or the mil-spec standard, and other Americans are producing that. That's just my thing. For right or wrong, I'm sure I'd get kicked off a Shark Tank for having that thought process, but that's my thing. And I think the moment if I stick to fleece and I have to outsource that, well, then why not just outsource all of my products to China? You know what I'm saying? So I'm never going to do that. So here's the dilemma, Gene, as you said right there. So I can't get the fleece. So I've come up with two different thought processes. So I could either make a sleeve in the inside front and a sleeve in the inside rear. And I would have to secure the sleeve though at the top, right? And then I could use the foam that we use for our padded strap wraps. And because I'm here to tell you, I can't put the foam in there, sew it in place. It'll be next to impossible to turn this. And that's just kind of a weird thing. People don't get this. It's like, oh, just sew it together. It don't work that way, right? You're sewing it inside out and then you've got to turn it. It would just, the time that it would take for us to accomplish that, to me, would be cost prohibitive, right? So it would give you, here's the pros. You've got padding in there. The padding can be removed. So if you don't want the padding, you could maybe insert fold up a wet weather jacket or a poncho a certain way. You could do that. So it would give you some of that stuff on the pros, but on the cons, I'm just saying from a labor perspective and a construction of the material of the product perspective, I personally think that would be cost prohibitive. The other answer would be, instead of lining this and have the inside with fleece, I do it with that rubberized material that we use in our mother canteen carrier and our Scout and a couple of other our products. And we use that rubberized material wherever we think there's going to be something that's got a slightly sharp edge or whatever, because even the Kadura, even 500D, that abrasion, that wear and tear, it's going to eventually over time, just wear it down, and it's just going to fade through or break through. That rubberized material increases the longevity of your product. It also adds a little bit of padding, which it does. And then for what we're talking about here, a rifle platform. So if you're concerned about your barrel, your optics, whatever the case is, it's another non-scratch type of surface. So it's not going to scratch up the outside of whatever your platform is. So that's kind of the second kind of thing I need from you guys. So right now it's dead in the water. And that's why it's taken me so long to do this video. And I apologize to everybody. I've had people asking me about it. Like, hey, dude, when's this and where's that? And I'm like, it's embarrassing to say, hey, look, I can't find the material I need to make this. And I'm not going to buy it from overseas. I'm just not going to do it. So we're kind of dead in the water for a little bit. But here we are now. I think those are the two options, in my humble opinion. Now, Gene, coming back to you, sheep's wool, thinnest socks. Yeah, possibly. But, here's the other thing on that point, though, Gene. And for everyone else watching, if you are concerned about the bluing of your weapon or the optic, hey, look, I know this is going to sound maybe like a little condescending. I don't mean it that way. with my background, I've been using weapon platforms, well, 17 when I joined the military, but I was out hunting at the age of 12. How many of you watching this later on demand have simply just taken an old towel or an old, bed sheet and cut it apart, or a pillowcase or whatever it is, a t-shirt, and then just wrap your weapon platform up in that as you're stowing it? So, somebody's talked about, well, why not make a separate insert? Or as Gene's kind of alluding, like the wool. I think you can still do that, but I think each and every one of us, it's probably easier for you just to grab an old pillowcase and then cut it and then wrap it around there and then put it in there. It'll give you a little bit more padding. It'll help protect it a tad bit more. I think the fleece, and I'm actually kind of glad this happened. Here's my final plug on here's the problem, and we're trying to come up with solutions. If you're running your platform in there, no matter what it is, there's going to be probably an iron sight. There's some optics. Again, there's edges. That fleece, it really isn't designed to take that type of beating. So over the lifespan of the product, I think that fleece is going to wear down quite a bit. That's my humble opinion. And I'll pause right there. If there's anyone that says, oh, hell no, fleece will last longer than 500 denier, let me know, because you're using like ultra kick-ass fleece that I don't even know about. So anybody got any comments on that? I'm going to take a quick pause. Again, I'm trying to keep these at 30 minutes. No comments. So, okay, I'm going to take that as everybody agrees. Yeah, fleece probably isn't, for the long run, fleece isn't as viable an option as some of the other options I presented. And then add to it the simple fact that I can't get fleece made in America. Well, then you're at that kind of, impasse right there as well. So for what it's worth, I'm just going to throw this out there. And then again, people can leave comments afterwards or live stream or when it's on demand. I think the way we're going to go forward, and I'm going to let you guys and gals kind of help me decide that. My personal choice is I put the rubberized material on the inside. Again, it's going to add some padding. It's going to protect the weapon, from abrasion, scratches, that kind of stuff. It's going to provide also just a little, I don't want to call it insulation, but I guess that maybe I'll just say that that's kind of the padding. But that material being on the inside is definitely going to increase the lifespan of this product way better than the fleece will in the long run. All right, Gene. Yeah, I don't really know what the time lag is here, but I kind of thought so. So Gene's kind of saying the rubber. Yeah, so I apologize. I'm saying this right now, and sometimes there's about between a 1 and 3 minute lag, depending on where you're watching this. Brandon loves the belt. You're welcome, Brandon. I hope you love this video too. But on that point right there, so again, comment here or comment later. I'm really kind of leaning towards, I use the rubberized material. And I think that's going to increase the longevity. It's still going to give you padding. It's not going to scratch up either your weapon platform or your optic. Whereas if I do the padding part, well, I'm going to have to make sure that on the top, the front and the back, it has to be really secure, because as you're putting your platform in here, because it'll be annoying if it always gets hung up on that little pocket on the front or the back where you've put the padding in. And truth be told, I would have to do it that way. Sew it like that so I can turn it, and then you just slide the padding in afterwards and then Velcro it, because you wouldn't want snaps in there. I wouldn't think anyway. But so it's a good option. But at that point, going to what Gene and I were just talking about, then, wrap it up with a t-shirt, a towel, a sock, and that'll give you that extra little bit of padding. Because again, this isn't that full scabbard I'm talking about, because these platforms aren't those platforms. These are survival rifle. These are takedown platforms. I know somebody right now is going to say, well, is that large enough for my optics? And then when I showed you those other examples, that's how a lot of that came about, because there was a lot of people like, well, I don't want to take my optic off of my platform. Okay, I kind of get that, but here's the other side of that, and I'll show you in a second. So I've got an optic mounted on my 1022. I'll show you how the size works, because if your optic's even bigger than this is a really standoff type of optic. But the other thing is, don't forget, and don't be scared, and don't doubt yourself on what I'm about to say. And if you don't believe me, go talk to somebody who's a gunsmith or an expert in this. I actually had 2 people that I know who can't be here tonight to back up, because maybe you don't want to believe me. Why would I listen to the guy who did this as a kid growing up, then 20 years in the military, and then 10 years in the agency? What the hell does he know? You're absolutely right. What do I know? But if you know how to set your optic on properly and then take it off and then put it back on properly for what we're talking about here, I mean, seriously, you might be 1 minute of angle off at 100 yards. And let's be serious. Like, so maybe some of those other platforms I just said, well, especially that 308, that lever gun, that might be a little different. because maybe you are doing some more robust hunting with that. Well, but then again, then why aren't you just using a full stock, you know, and then just having it in a scabbard, right? So it's a takedown. But 1 minute of angle at 100. Again, we're not sitting here talking about a 300 Win Mag with a Leupold, and you're on one ridge line, and then 1,000 yards over on the other ridge line is that mountain goat you're hunting. That's something completely different. That's a different set of circumstances. That's a different tool for the task at hand. So therefore, that would be, you know, again, you're just going to have a completely different scabbard, right? What I'm looking at, and then so here's one I got here. And you can maybe even just see from the video, you can tell there's weight in there, right? So my 1022 is in here. So again, this is really just a platform that's either, you know, designed and intended to be attached to the outside of a rucksack. Again, you already saw what I did. You can, you know, shoulder strap, attach it and carry it vertically, carry it horizontal or scout carry. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. One of the other plugs I want to make for it, because it is a takedown pouch. And here's what I think we did. And I failed to mention this. I should have mentioned this earlier. So you guys will see me. I'm undoing it right now. Again, you can tell, you can see I'm gripping it. My 1022 is in there, and I'll prove it in a second. But here you go. So if it's unbuckled and you start tumbling down a ravine because you're being chased by Sasquatch, guess what? At the end of the day, guess what's still inside your pouch? Your takedown rifle, right? And that's kind of a unique little thing we did with this lid because it's a takedown. So again, going back to, I never want to let you guys down. We put our real world experience and our real world thoughts into making and designing this. So this flap that's containing it, and you know, you saw there's expansion in the webbing so you can make it higher, but you've got to twist it inside out like that to open it, right? And it's super simple, super fast. You can still get at your platform. You can see it's inside there. You can still get at your platform, pull it out, assemble, and then, you know, harvest that grouse or that rabbit or that squirrel, whatever you're doing. But then the last other thing I just kind of want to point out here is, and I don't want to get too much trouble, so, you know, excuse me if I'm being weird, but, you know, screw tube. But look at that right there. Look at that optic and look how offset that is. Look how high that is on the frame, right? So if you know the 1022 kind of configuration, you know that that's a lot of space right there. And that fits inside the pouch. So there's a lot of room on the optic side. If you don't want to take your optic off, leave your optic on. So I think we've reached the proper size where it's wide enough to accommodate, you know, again, that 1022 AR7, you know, even some of those AR and SRB platforms, and they still have the optics on. And there it is right there. But if you're worried about that, have another pouch, take your optic off, put it in your pouch attached to the outside. And then when you get your campsite, put the optic back on. And, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, ask a buddy who's got maybe more experience on it, you know, but that's some pretty simple tricks. And if you put that back on the same way, the same tightness, and if everything else lines up, you know, how you're using that platform, seriously, I highly doubt you'll even be a minute of angle off at 100, right? But whatever, you guys do you, right? So Andrew said, cage up. Not really sure what that is. Andrew, leave another comment telling what that is. How about an MCK micro conversion kit for your pistol? Andrew, if you don't mind, shoot me an email so I can look at that, because I'm not going to do that in the live stream, but I don't know what that is. I'd have to see it. So if you don't mind, shoot me an email and let me take a look at that and I can better answer that. But again, I don't know if you missed this, but here's some of the other platforms I was looking at just to kind of like reiterate this. Springfield M6, Savage Arms 42. Again, the AR7, I think it'll fit. I don't see why. It's actually looks like it's smaller than the 1022. And again, there's a Kel-Tec 556 takedown that looks badass. There's that Browning lever action 308 takedown. That looks really cool. I'm not joking. That would be a cool gun to have. And then Axor Arms, their FP01 folding, and that's a 12 gauge, and that's a folder as opposed to a takedown. So Andrew, just kind of throwing those out. I don't know where that comes into play with that MCK conversion kit. Hopefully that kind of answered your question. Let me just give me a second here to go through. Don't want to see if I skipped anybody. I see a couple people commenting that the rubberized material. Okay, all right. You know, I hate to say it, you know, I'm going to do an impromptu kind of survey, and you guys and gals will kind of help me decide this. We'll see what the comments are when this video goes, you know, video on demand after a couple days, and we'll just see what it comes up to. But right now, you know, you guys are kind of seeing it. I do need, I've got 2 of these now again, and I apologize. they've got fleece inside of them that's not from America. It's the only fleece I could get from the local store. It's not made in America. So, don't say, well, this is bullshit, because the final versions, will either have whatever we're going to do. So the real question is, do we go with that padded option or do we go with the rubberized material? I think both of those, even the Kandura will actually, even if I just did a Kandura inside, I think that still will increase the lifespan of the product better than the fleece. That fleece is going to get worn down. It's nice and supple and soft at the beginning, but it's just going to like mat down, and then it's just going to get scratched up. But so, Andrew, to your point, that platform right there that you're talking about and the other ones I just mentioned, I do need 2 people who either have that or know somebody who has that. Reach out to me in an email or a text message, or give me a phone call, because I really would like to have a few more people just do the field testing on this, because this is pretty much the final version. The difference there being is if we go with the alternatives for the inside, the padding or the rubberized material. So that's going to change it just a tad bit as far as its its thickness, but that's really the only change. Because again, I think one of the things that really sold me and I was really happy with is, and you can see me doing it, and that's all you have to do. Just flip it inside out, and that bad boy is there. And if you forget to lock it in place with the side release buckles, and you get chased by, Sasquatch, or hopefully not a grizzly bear, but, and you go take a tumble, I just demonstrated. Yeah, of course it could come out, but you see that it's going to take a lot of force and a lot of intentionality for you to lose what's inside of that. It isn't just going to shake out, right? Because I'm assuming if you're out in the woods and you've got a survival rifle, a takedown with you, you're probably out in the woods. You ain't doing that 5 mile, out and back on a state trail. You're probably really out in the woods. So that's just one more little added, feature that gives you a little bit more confidence in the security that you're not going to lose that weapon platform or your optic or whatever else that you might have stored in there. All right, we're at 30, just a little over 32 minutes. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Let me just see if I can get some questions. Big Visk. Give me a second here. I even had a little alarm to remind myself to start wrapping it up. Big Visk, still catching up, but I have a Model 39A. Looks like it would fit. Big Visk, I don't know what that is. Mea culpa, but I don't know every weapon platform in the world. But if you would be so kind, sir, send me an email. It's on my website, but it's simple. It's mark@center-line-systems.com. So that's Centerline Systems, but with a dash or a hyphen between each of those letters. It's also in the contact us part on the website. Send me an email. If that is similar or of the same size of any of the other ones I mentioned, well, that would be a willing substitute. I'd be willing to go down that road and work something out with you. So Big Visk, if you don't mind, just hit me up on email for that. Okay, I think that kind of wraps it up. I don't see any other questions I haven't addressed. All right. Third live stream under the belt, the SRDP. I just wanted to let you guys know, because a lot of people have been reaching out. Hey, Mark, what's going on? I haven't been sitting with my thumb, sucking on my thumb or whatever, twiddling. I better stop right there. You know what I'm saying, right? I haven't been wasting time. We've literally ran into a brick wall called American Made Fleece. And, and I apologize if they're, to, Polar Tech or whoever. I ain't trying to disparage anybody, but look, I'm a small business owner. All those guys and gals, who have purchased with us in the past or who know about it and want to make a purchase in the future. I think if we even open up that door and take the step down that and start buying, a foreign sourced materials, whether it's fleece or whatever, then, where does it stop? And at that point, I'm sure the guys in Shark Tank would say, well, just make all your stuff overseas and, then make some money off it for once, type of thing. But that's not who we are. That's who I think you've come to realize who I am. And I ain't going to let you down. So we're not doing that because you guys are more important to me than, getting a bunch of money by farming this out to a communist country that, doesn't give a shit about its employees. So that's my humble opinion. You can have yours. Tell me what you think. Oh, Mike in the woods. By the way, Mike, I had to post this earlier today, to let everybody know we're doing the live stream. And I don't know who you are, sir, but we should probably talk because I saw you must have found my channel and, you're one of and then here's a whole bunch of Mike in the woods just saw your stuff and liked it. So, hey, the assault pack, we're going to save that for another video, Mike. If you want to give me a call, because I'm kind of wrapping up the day because it has been a Monday. I'm here to tell you. And the gentleman who I was talking to on the phone earlier today, he knows what I'm talking about, but we're going to probably wrap it up after this, call it a day, get back, rest up and get back in at it tomorrow. But seriously, Mike in the Woods, I mean it seriously. My number's on the website. If you're up for it, give me a call in about 30 minutes. I actually was going to reach out to you on Instagram. I wanted to talk to you anyway about some other options or some other ideas. But a salt pack, nice try, brother. We're not talking about that until it's time to talk about it. So, and I definitely will change the name because most people won't like the word assault pack, and and it's not a 3-day pack either. So that anyway, let's just save that for later. I'm rambling now. All right, I think we've had enough. Gene over the pond. Woo! Thank you, sir. Andrew, thank you very much, Andrew. Really appreciate that. And Mike in the Woods, thank you for reaching out. And thank you to, again, as always, for everybody who joined us on the live stream. Again, this is my intent. I want to get you guys involved. I've got questions. Look, you may have heard this term. It's called looking through a soda straw. And I'm making something, and I absolutely love it. But that could be because I'm looking through my own soda straw and I'm not seeing everything else around me. And only a fool refuses to ask other people's opinions and questions. And you know how that goes. I mean, you ask too much and you can get inundated with things. But I do really believe that all of you guys and gals who order from us, watch our videos, support us, that I know that you aren't those people. The vast majority of you have great questions. Sometimes we can't do it. Like, see the last week's video. I mean, we've been thinking about that on the Edo. Should we do the little sew in and insert, and we've kind of gone back and forth, and I'll save that for another conversation. But I really appreciate all your comments and your feedback, and I mean that seriously. So thank you for joining us tonight. Thanks for watching this. We'll be doing more of these videos going forward. We got a couple other things coming out, like the assault pack. And I don't know what that was. End of the day, gibberish. But hey, you know the deal. Reach out anytime, just not 3 a.m. Reach out anytime, and I'll do the best I can to help you out. Phone call, text message, email. One last plug. I'll be the first to admit I'm not very good at social media. If you DM me on social media, I will get to it, but don't be surprised if it takes me a day or two, because that's just not my priority of effort. It's in other places, as I'm a one-man show. What do they say? One-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. So anyway, reach out anytime. I'll do the best I can to help you out. All right. And seriously, think about last week and think about that outage and think about how that can occur at any time. A snowstorm, a sleet storm, a tornado. It doesn't have to be zombie apocalypse and Red Dawn, and maybe we'll cover that in a different live stream. But be prepared. Take this opportunity. Look back in the last couple of years in life. Realize, hey, I should probably get out and do some physical exercise. I should get out in the woods, because that time in the woods and that physical exercise, it isn't just good for your body and your heart. It's good for right here. And if your mind is behind the power curve, you're not going to do as well in a crisis as you think you are when you're already down when your brain has already brought you down and defeated you, right? So have a good mental attitude, and that comes from physical fitness and being out and enjoying nature and knowing your skills. Knocking off the rust of those skills, getting out with other people, learning from other people, sharing those experiences, because, now more than ever, you might actually need to be out there and doing a little bit of hunting and fishing and foraging just to offset some of the costs of the grocery store nowadays. So on that note, all right, everybody, reach out anytime. Like I said, I'll do the best I can to help you out. Until then, keep thinking, keep moving, never quit. All right, everybody, be good. Woo!